As usual, with those of you familiar when I begin, allow me to say a few words in the vernacular. Peraturan Strategi Dalam Beliau, Musyawarah Peraturan Manoa dan Nadi, Peraturan Strategi Sungai Manoa, Peraturan Terti Manoa, kan Strategi Kimani Mai Sok Tigo, Sok, sini gua, dan kita mai bintang nanti tigo. Nabika and I was just thanking the paramount chiefs of this area, which includes the Nadi and also the Sonaka or the Tokenawa, for allowing us to gather here today and to discuss a topic that is quite deep and has a lot of passion from my perspective. So again, all protocols observed. The President of the Institute of Technical Governance, Dr. Kamikamica, and his team members of the Institute. It's my honor to start the session today with the topic business as catalysts of economic growth. I can say with utmost confidence is that as far as the new government is concerned, the People's Coalition, this is our daily bread every day. We are absolutely joined at the hip to the private sector, and also not just the private sector, the MSMEs as well. And that comes from a deep-rooted belief that if we all work together, Fiji is destined for some very big days ahead. Few questions. Where are we now? Where are we headed? How can we turbocharge the economy? What are some of the challenges? Hopefully in the slides, you will find the answers to these pertinent questions. What does the current status of Fiji looks like? Liquidity is at 2 billion. Private sector credit is up 11.5%. Projected economic growth is around 3%. I reckon we'll probably be nudging closer to 4% by the end of the year. And in terms of investment, in terms of official pipeline that the Investment Fiji guys are actually looking at the moment, we have about a pipeline of this time of 5.5 billion. I've been probably saying 6 billion, and that's because some of the investment rolled off into particularly this one. And it's now dropping off the list. You can see that right now in terms of construction, we have $1.5 billion worth of construction already happening in the economy already. You can see it when you walk around, you move around, particularly the western side of Fiji. Interestingly, in that 1.5, only 40% is tourism. So from our perspective, certainly the People's Coalition perspective and the Honorable Prime Minister's perspective, Fiji is looking pretty good right now. In terms of really when you talk about the businesses as catalysts, I think we need to understand it from the ministry's perspective. And really for us, it's all about economic diversification. We are deeply engaged in a process to re-engineer the architecture of the Fijian economy, and to actually bring about a broader economy, one that's not reliant on this tourism, but begins to pick up other sectors. And hopefully over the course of 5 to 10 years, we will see a different kind of Fiji. A Fiji that has a lot more economic power, not purely dependence on tourism as it is at the moment. So let's move on. Brian will speak to you about the good investment, but one of the things that I would like to point out when this government talks about economic diversification, it is very real. It is not theoretical, it is happening. So with the Google investment, I'll allow Brian to talk about it, but for us it's been an honor to work with Brian to bring Google here. It is quite a transformative investment for Fiji. It will allow Fiji to become the regional tech hub of the Pacific and probably the Southern Hemisphere possibly. It allows us to really leverage on some of the tech sectors that we already have and also look at some other opportunities in terms of data centers, in terms of cybersecurity centers being based in Fiji, and even looking at things like getting one of the things that I'm looking at with some business people is actually looking at how some of my young can do editing of movies, Netflix movies, for example, good amount of Fiji. With the bandwidth that we have, this will all be possible. Of course, there's a bit of an agenda going in terms of because of the expectation around ICT and the fact that the economy will transition. I reckon in the next 5 to 10 years towards ICT, we need to prepare the universities. So there's a bit of work going on at the moment. Now we're leveraging Google as well in terms of their expertise. They have already heaps of educational material in terms of trying to push this along. Starlink. Ladies and gentlemen, Starlink is owned by none other than Elon Musk. They came to us in early 2023. We provided a license to them. I will put it to you that this will transform the rural economy, this investment, or this opportunity. Basically, the access that our rural communities, our remote communities were crying for, it is now a real possibility. It means that e-commerce can be done anywhere in Fiji. It doesn't only have to be in Suva or in Nadi. And for example, I was in Rotuma. I received a call through Starlink from the Fiji's UAE ambassador, ambassador, and it was just like receiving a call from Suva. So these two investments will really catalyze the broadening out of the ICT industry, and like I said, will cement Fiji's position as a tech hub in the Pacific and possibly in the Southern Hemisphere as well. Some of the other interesting facts, of course, we know about the BPO sector and the KPO sector. It's actually growing right now. There's about 8,000 young men and women in this sector. We're generating about 300 million in terms of foreign exchange and contribution to the GDP. One of some of the tidbits, KPMG now has their own support services for their own business, and they've also invested in an artificial intelligence office as well, and that's going to be great guns according to the KPMG partners, and so congratulations to them. But then, someone asked me, what's Fiji's expertise like in AI? KPMG has already answered that question. They're going to have about 60 employees very soon now working in the AI space. In terms of the business in the park, this park is actually, I have to declare witness, I was part of this initial investment. It's about to break ground this year. It will generate, in terms of possibly up to 15,000 jobs over an 8-year period. So it's a real investment. It's about just under 500 million Fijian dollars. It will open up again the ICT sector, and you will find that a lot of international businesses will start looking at Fiji in terms of nearshoring, particularly for Australia and New Zealand, and offshoring from the US and even the UK. And one of the other areas that we're looking at in terms of economic diversification is actually commercial agriculture. And I know that Brian from Fiji Water will talk about their advent into commercial agriculture in Fiji. And on the back of that, we have another 2 major players that are about to make announcements. Hopefully they'll make announcements before the end of the year, which are their entities that are looking at commercial agriculture as well. Where are we preoccupied with commercial agriculture? One, Fiji has some of the best fruit and vegetables that we are so blessed. We always say that Fiji is some of the best produce. Actually, in fact, the Pacific is some of the best produce. Our challenge has been we have never been able to generate it at scale. And so what we have tried to do is, as part of the joint that I did with the private sector, identify not only investors from offshore, but existing investors in Fiji that have the capacity to roll out commercial agriculture in Fiji. Fiji Water, for those of you who do not know, offered the government at the time, in 2006, to come and start commercial agriculture in Fiji. Just imagine if they had listened to Fiji Water back then. So this government has picked up that offer 16 plus years later, and we're working very hard with Fiji Water to really put this commercial agriculture mystery to bed and start, sort of generating some real commercial agriculture. The other two companies, one is a Sri Lankan company. They are a mega agricultural specialist company in Sri Lanka. They do tea. And there's also an Israeli company currently based in PNG that is being funded by FNBF and Fijian Holdings. Hopefully, the FNBF speaker might be able to say a little bit more. But these are the types of things that we are currently doing. And again, another reason why we're focusing on commercial agriculture in this way is, one, we can scale it up to commercial scale, so we can do import replacement and also export, both in natural form and value add. The more important aspect is we have never really been able to break the back of the rural economy. And so if we have major players that come in Fiji and do commercial agriculture, we can actually then try and link up to the rural sector. So in other words, I'll say not because my wife's here, but just because it's easy to demonstrate. The Singapore Valley is known for popos. So we can get the whole of the Singapore Valley to popos at commercial level. They know that there will be offtake of their product when it's actually done. And then the company can take that on board, convert it into juices, put it on the tables of all the hotels, and etc., etc. So that is essentially what we're trying to do in terms of commercial agriculture. Some of the other sort of things that are stories you probably worked out, this is a storytelling session for me, or sort of just sharing with you what the People's Coalition and the Ministry of Trade has been doing. We have been working hard to broaden out the Fijian economy. So at the moment, the kava industry is a $1 billion industry for Fiji, endlessly. What we're doing at the moment is getting the legislation sorted. So there's been a bit of work going in there. Hopefully this year we can actually enact the legislation and then start moving ahead in terms of trying to develop the kava market. I've got here some, you might be wondering why I had this little pocket down here. This is a product that I met a potential investor in Fiji who's wanting to invest about 40 million. And they've got this product here. It's called soup. And it's a mixture of yamana and something else. This is the new frontier for economy. In a sort of process, value added and exported to the rest of the world. And not only will benefit Fiji, the whole Pacific will benefit from it. It's part of the Great Pacific industry. That is an area of particular interest to us. We have at least 3 players at the moment that are actually interested in doing sort of high value add processing. And so there's some major opportunities coming ahead in terms of the kava sector. You've probably heard of what we're doing in mahogany. Again, we've had these trees growing in our backyard for so long, but we have never really tried to export it in terms of a proper structure. We've been working hard on the mahogany bill. That's been one of the big bottlenecks, if you like, to the production of mahogany in Fiji. That bill is already been fully consulted by the government of Fiji representative. We should have a bill to Parliament very soon, hopefully August, and then you see the rollout of mahogany. Potentially, we can export up to 100 million very quickly, just if we get our act right in mahogany. You've also heard of me talking about medicinal cannabis. We've got a bit quiet. Why? We're just working on the government has given all the approvals for medicinal cannabis. Just working on the legislation currently. Once the legislation is out, hopefully again we can get that passed this year or early next year, and then we'll have another industry ready to go in Fiji. But I just talk about some other stories in commercial agriculture. You would have seen us talk about launch something called owner coffee in Fiji recently. I would argue that it's probably a potential that will actually mirror Fiji water in some respects. Owner Coffee is a business out of Canada. They discovered one of the higher-end coffee specimens in Fiji, growing wild, in Ra, in Taviuli, and Nua. It's called Liberica. And they're planning to actually market it to the world and position it as a high-end coffee for Fiji. They reckon that by 2009, they should be buying at least 10 million in terms of green beans. So this year they'll be purchasing up all the green beans this year from wherever they can find it. If you have any wild coffee growing in your backyard, please call me, I can put you in touch with Owner Coffee. But they'll probably spend up to 2 million, get the seeds, and then create nurseries. They're already building their nurseries now in Ra, and then they'll move ahead and try and upscale the coffee. So Fiji will also be known, apart from Fiji water, as a specialty coffee hub or destination in Fiji. And that means also that the province of Ra, for those of you who are from Ra, that's the second potentially international brand that has come out of that province. On cocoa, we're also looking seriously at cocoa. There are some investors that are talking to us about scaling up cocoa. Fiji, in its heyday in the 80s, we were producing 500 tons of cocoa. And when you think that the price of cocoa is around about 10,000 US per kilo at the moment, you kind of scratch your head and say, had we kept that industry, we could have been way ahead of the game, like our brothers from Papua New Guinea, who are exporting cocoa to the United Arab Emirates, and so this article. So we congratulate them for that. Tourism, of course, in terms of tourism, there are so many aspects of tourism that, even within the tourism product, we're looking at diversifying. Two things that we're working at the moment is this education tourism. We're looking at how we can leverage that and get students from around the globe to Fiji to come and study, learn a bit about the country, about 6 months to 1 year, and then return. Digital nomad is also something that's being worked on at the moment. I'm hoping that we can get into the budget this year, but probably will probably come out later in the year. I'm sure that you like sleep audience here, you know what digital nomads are. So, but basically, you go and work in a country for a couple of months or 1 year on a visa, and you pay something to the government. It's quite lucrative as well. In terms of renewable energy, PFR now has a new CEO and a new chairman, and we have transitioned very rapidly to renewable energy. So you will see a big transition happening to renewable energy over the next 3 to 4 years. AFL has already put out an announcement that they are putting 160 megawatts to market. Brian will talk about a bit of renewable energy, maybe. And there are other investors that are looking at renewable energy opportunities. We are working with the landowner who's offering their land for renewable energy purposes. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And that includes solar, hydro, hydrogen as well. Those are some of the opportunities that are developing in that space. Also, something that I just share in terms of affordable housing. Right now, there's about a 7,000 home shortage in Fiji. If you calculate the affordable home at least around 300,000, let's say, that's about $2.1 billion of economic activity waiting to be activated. So you will find that over the next few weeks, there will be more discussions around affordable homes. And hopefully we can move very fast. There's a lot more construction happening in the modular space as opposed to the brick and mortar space. So we can speed up construction in these areas. Just to touch a bit on some of the other things that are happening. Sustainable blue town or the blue economy is one of the areas that we're looking at. One of the theories that we work on, certainly in government, is to make conservation real. You need to create economic opportunity with the owners of the resource. So what we're endeavoring to do is actually put create economic activity once they protect their bodies. There's a big push in terms of aquaculture as well in that regard. And so overlaid on the Blue Economy Initiative, we're hoping to unlock quite a bit of potential in that area. Trade policies and trade frameworks, we're working on updating Basic Plus, so sort of looking at whether we should join Basic Plus. For those of you manufacturers in the room, be assured that we have very interest in that. We will only do it if it is in our interest, but we think it's a wonderful initiative to look at again. We are also looking at a regional economic partnership agreement with the United Arab Emirates. That is already under discussion at the moment. We are doing terms of reference. They want to do it on a regional basis. So hopefully that will activate a lot of opportunity and get some real United Arab Emirates World Sovereign Fund, World Sovereign Wealth Funds in this part of the world. That is why you may have noticed that New Zealand and Australia signed up EPAs last year with the UAE. So this is why we're scrambling to try and do something ourselves. We're also looking at MSP 3.0 and also FICA to sort of examine how we can unlock the regional opportunities that we have. I'll say this because there's a Pravat from PhD here, and because I spent 10 years in that wonderful country, 6 years, sorry. UAE, we're looking around for a UAE in the Pacific. How would you give you the UAE of the Pacific? They have some major economic trajectory that's about to happen in their country, and it only makes sense that the two largest economies start working together a lot more closer. On that note, I know that we talked about regionalism yesterday, and from my perspective, the regional economy is already happening. You only have to look at what ATH has done with Vodafone, BSP, what they've done in terms of banking, and ANZ. The regional economy is already happening around the globe, around the Pacific. We're about, in Ghana this year, we're talking about a joint listing between Papua New Guinea and Fiji. And it's not only theoretical, it's very real. We already had a meeting with the governor of the Reserve Bank. He's already given Fiji and also Papua New Guinea, and they're comfortable to move ahead. So you'll see that happening over the next couple of months. What they will do is actually unlock the capital market potential in the Pacific, and hopefully we can bring on other parties into that picture. So you saw the Permanent Secretary talk about ease of doing business yesterday, or the National Digital Strategy, which is down here. You can, if you want to have a look at it, there's a QR code in there, so you can save the actual document if you want to. But basically, with all the wonderful opportunities that we have will not have our heads in the sky. We accept that there are some challenges in how we do business in Fiji, but that, for me, is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to really transform the way we do business in Fiji. We're advancing in that regard. We've already got the international digital strategy, as I mentioned, and there's the PSN mentioned, which will form a North Star, or which will guide the country as we move ahead in the next few years. MSMEs. I had a couple of things to say here. One of the things that we've done is actually really put the small business agenda and the cooperatives agenda back into the frame in terms of Fiji's economic diversification and development. So, we are reviving the cooperatives. If you go to India, or some of the Southeast Asian countries, or actually all countries in the world, they are littered with cooperatives. Bread Bank is a cooperative. So the message for us for that is, if we are to really unlock the economy in Fiji, certainly the resource of the economy and the rural economy, we need to focus on cooperatives and small to medium enterprises. Some stories, in keeping with this storytelling that I'm doing today. We are like a cooperatives. We've been collaborating with this group for a couple of years. We helped them develop their tilapia farm. We also work with British American Tobacco. I know some of the BAT guys are here to actually develop a nursery for them. The idea being this nursery will produce vegetables to sell into South. We are like in a village just outside South, about 10-20 minutes out of South. And they can create a little sort of business for themselves. So that's sort of something that we will do more on. Look at what resources the Turkeys have, and then overlay it with opportunity, and then develop opportunity. Heritage Cover, this is a young man and woman that is in the middle of Wailoaloa in Hawaii. They own Heritage Cover. Their package cover is now on Amazon. They sell on Amazon from Lovoni. After Lovoni, they have a dryer, as you see there. They've installed a solar up there. So everything, including the processing of the cover, is done up in Lovoni. He's got 100 farmers working for him in Lovoni. And our plan is actually to expand his business. That is what's happening in Lovoni at the moment. It's Swane and Anna up the top there. On the far right, this is a sugarcane cooperative. We know that sugar has a lot of challenges. One of the things that I've heard from the sugarcane farmers, man, we should have gotten into cooperatives a lot faster. An interesting story about the gentleman with the tractor there. When we went to deliver his tractor, we have this grant, that's a 1/3, 2/3 grant. He insisted that I go and sort of see his farm. So we traveled down to his farm in a bit of a gully. And when we were there, he pointed out to me, you see the tobacco leaves there. He was pointing out the tobacco leaves to me, and he said, boss, the 1/3 that we had to borrow from FDB to pay for a 1/3 contribution for the funding, yeah? Tobacco we harvest every 3 months. The first harvest, we will pay off our 1/3 deposit. That is the power of cooperatives, ladies and gentlemen, and that is why we are pushing hard to actually push cooperatives. Very briefly, some of the other collaborations that's happening, we're working closely with RBF. They've been an excellent advocate for MSME development in Fiji. We've got now access to business funding bill. We're in the process of this finding that. It's almost like a venture capital kind of funding mechanism. So hopefully that will open up a lot more funding to our MSMEs. Pierce talked about a centralized database. Until you know who you're dealing with, you're really shooting in the dark. This database will allow us to actually understand how many MSMEs are out there, and then we can target the assistance towards the MSMEs. And of course, we're spending a bit of time in terms of development of incubators. We're doing something with the FAA at the moment in terms of agribusiness, and we'll see where. So that's sort of the storytelling in a nutshell that I thought I'd share with you today. And the message I'd like to bring with you is that what we're talking about, when government talks about growing the economy, we are sort of genuinely in the process of redeveloping the economic architecture of Fiji. And I hope in this demonstration, and also the speakers that come after, it will cement the idea that Fiji is not only talking about economic diversification, we are on the process to really re-engineer the economy of Fiji. Finally, this is something that Ms. Denisita, the chairman of Investment Fiji, put up in terms of something where I come from, where in terms of my perspective, we should really be talking about 5% growth or more in Fiji. And we always bubble around at 3%. That's not enough for our country. And my appeal to everyone in the room today is, let's try and work together and do all that we can to get to 5%. We're expecting a bit of a construction boom in the economy. I talked about affordable housing, the renewable energy, the hydros and all that. And on the back of that, if some of these core things that we're doing get developed, we will be on the right track. Essentially, what World Bank is saying is if we can get our investment as a percentage of GDP up to 18%, which equates to about 400 to 500 US, we can actually get to 5%. And so if you look at go back and think about the pipeline that I was discussing, we are almost there. We are on the cusp of getting there. I just saw radiation, so I thought I'd just share another initiative that he and I sort of took up a few weeks ago. The copra is becoming coming back as a major commodity. The pricing is quite attractive. I think it's around 2,000 US per kilo. Per ton, sorry, compared to $87 per ton in sugar. And I think that gives you the answer of where we should go. But they're now wanting to do 500 metric tons a month extra from their factory. So we're already scrambling around. We've talked to the province of Laos, the province of Nassau. We've already talked to Fiji. And hopefully over the next few months, you will see the reactivation of copra industry in Fiji. Also, we're looking at Rotuma. And then we will go through a big coconut planting campaign to actually try and get the copra moving. Finally, 2 more slides. What are some of the challenges? Yes, we have a lot of challenges that we need to deal with. Immigration, take it from me, I hear all the issues of immigration. I really want to see us fully automate the immigration system. Hopefully that can happen over the next 12 months. There's certainly opportunities to do that. So just watch that space. We are looking at government regulations. The starting a business process was one of the first attempts to break down regulation. I think, even though there are teething problems with that, one of the things you must note is, with the automation of the starting a business, what it's done is, you don't need to go and queue everywhere to get your TIN number, your FNPF number, all sorts of your health certificate. You can all do it online. And that's a major change. And hopefully we fine-tune it a bit more, we will get there. And there are, I talked about the development, the business permit approvals as well. That is a major one for us. If we can do that successfully this year, it will speed up the investment churn in the country. So, a lot of times we hear banks say, a lot of pipeline, but the investment approval process is slow. So generally, building permit approvals, for those of you who know, is between 18 to 3 years, 18 months to 3 years, sometimes longer. We plan to bring that down to 6 months. And if that happens, that 5% is going to look very, very real. And of course, US tariffs. At the moment, all I can say is that we are working with the government of the US to try and do what's right for Fiji and for the US. So there's a negotiation currently happening. I'm optimistic that we will land in the right space. Hopefully, basically, no changes from what the regime was before. And if we can all bring everything down to zero, that will be a lot better than currently. But certainly, just be rest assured that those of you who may be impacted, I know that TAFCO is impacted, Fiji was impacted. We are very committed to bringing about a resolution to this. The other thing I thought I'd just pick up very quickly with the cooperatives, just talk a bit about the Tauke economy. It is one of the unspoken areas and opportunities for Fiji. And you will see over the next couple of years a ramp up of to try and assist the resource owners to harness their resources. I talked a bit about agriculture. Just imagine if we can actually develop sort of a good agriculture technology, and we can place sort of prawn production units in some of the villages around Fiji, and then have someone buy it off them and export or sell it to the hotels. We have a $21 million import bill for prawns in Fiji. So the opportunities are tremendous. We are very focused on this, and we believe that because of the Sorosarumaki framework that Fiji has, which is similar, other brothers and sisters have their own framework of giving. The cooperative movement fits well within those structures. So it's something that we will continue to develop over the next few years. So in terms of closing, and I've spoken, apologies MC, I've spoken for 7 minutes over the allocated time, but I'll just return to the questions that I had in the beginning. Where are we now? Fiji is in a very good space right now. We are poised for some big things. Where are we headed? The future is looking bright as far as I'm concerned. We do have some headwinds, but I think if we manage them, we will be on the right path. How can we turbocharge the economy? Hopefully the slides explain it to you. We have tremendous potential. We have unlocked so many opportunities in the Fijian economy, it's not fun. But what we need to do is work with the private sector, execute it well, and then we can start seeing the material benefit from our endeavors. And of course, what are some of the challenges? I've mentioned some of them. But again, one of the things that I'd like to ask all of you, Fiji's got one of the things that we're all good at in Fiji is complaining. We complain about everything. But the problem, it's good to complain, but the problem is you don't complain to the right people. So please reach out to Investment Fiji. If you have an issue with investment, both domestic or foreign, reach out to Investment Fiji. Reach out to me. If we're aware of the issues, then we can fix them. And we have had a journey of 16 years of probably doing not much in terms of these areas. But the thing is that we now have a government that's seriously committed to actually getting some of these things done. So I hope in the brief presentation, or it's not brief, it's 40 minutes, you will get a picture of where Fiji is headed. Like I said, there is tremendous potential for our country. We are generally re-engineering the architecture of the Fijian economy, and if we all work together, Fiji will be a different proposition in the next 5 to 10 years. Now,